Okay, so hello everybody. Today I am going to be training on what are you feeding your mind? What are you reading? What are you putting into your mind? And I'm about to give you a lot of information. I don't want it to overwhelm you. You do need to be taking notes. I know that the analytical people out there, and I've already talked about the personality types, so the green personality types, you're going to eat this up, what I'm about to tell you. You're going to want to do this all day long. Like, you're going to want to get every single thing I'm about to tell you, and you're just going to spend your whole day reading and absorbing all this information. But that is not wise when you're building a business with Pure. Your goal here is to split your time up to be balanced. The majority of your time should be spent doing income producing activities, right? So I always say you split it up into thirds. So if you're going to spend an hour a day on this business, 30% of that time needs to be spent inviting people to take a look at what we have here. Another 30% needs to be spent following up with the people. We can say 33%. Another 33% needs to be spent following up with the people that you invited to take a look at it yesterday, connecting them to the leader, listening as they're getting connected to the leader, taking notes as the leader's answering their questions and thinking, oh, I didn't know that was the answer to that question. That's an interesting question to ask. I've never heard that one asked before. Learning and listening. The other part of that 33%, launching your people. Now you may not be where you're ready to launch people yet, but if you have someone new who joined yesterday, your upline leader should be launching them, and you should be on learning, listening, learning about your new person, because we ask them questions about who they are, where they're from, what are your goals. You should be learning all of this, and then they're hopefully going to ask some questions, and you're going to learn some more. So that's 33, and then the other 33% should be spent learning. And I believe that this is such an important part I know this is such an important part of building this business, okay? Because it's a hard business, especially if you have an employee mentality. It's really, really hard. You're kind of fighting everything you've ever learned in your life. I don't care if you're 25, 35, 45, 55, 65, 75. If your whole life you've been an employee, your mind is going, I spent like 10 hours on this the last 2 weeks and I've only made $30. Like, what a waste of time this is. If that's an employee mentality. If you haven't replaced that mentality with the proper thinking and the proper information about what it means to be an entrepreneur, what it means to build a business, what all business people go through, then you're not going to make it. You're going to be lost. And so you need to be spending a good 30% of your time, 20 minutes, let's say it's an hour, 20 minutes inviting, 20 minutes following up and getting people launched, and then 20 minutes putting good information in. Maybe you're watching product videos. Maybe you're listening to the team training calls from Tuesday nights and Saturdays that are recordings. Maybe you're listening to a Wednesday training like this. Maybe you're reading. And I'm going to talk about the reading today because I feel like I haven't talked about this in a while, and it's so, so, so important. One of the things that during different time periods in my business, make a note of this, that I will do is I will go pull a report of all the 30 share packs that joined my team in the previous month. And sometimes I'll just go send them a book, or I'll send them CDs with a handwritten note and let them know I'm here, I know you're there, and give them something that they can start putting into their mind. So I'm going to give you some reading material today. And I literally just went and rampaged all my bookshelves. I pulled out like a third of what I have. But some of the more important ones I think I've read over the last 9 years. And this started for me way before I got involved in Pure. The reason I opened a skincare retail book, look at how old this sucker is. The pages are yellow. That's how old this book is. The reason I opened a skincare retail store was this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This book woke me up to the fact that you really need to have an additional business. You are never really going to be free financially unless you have a small business on the side. And his book called The Business of the 21st Century that came out in 2010, that one talks about how the best small business is network marketing. Okay, so if you have problems understanding why this business model is so brilliant, you can get a CD of this for about $1 on Amazon. You can get The Perfect Business for about $1 on Amazon. Sometimes with somebody that I have, The Business of the 21st Century, sometimes I will, if I show someone the presentation and they're thinking about it or they're very skeptical about the business model, I think someone posted that on our Facebook page yesterday. Somebody's son was very skeptical about the business model. have them listen to this. You know, have this on hand and send it to them. And that, I mean, when you start listening to wealthy people talk about how to make money, again, I'm not listening to broke people talk about money and whether or not this business model works. My bank account proves that this business model works. My bank account continues to grow while we're on vacation. So it proves that it works. So I'm not interested in a broke person or somebody who trades their hours for dollars telling me why this isn't a real business. But this may help them, because arguing with someone, I used to argue with people all the time, and that doesn't work. I mean, you might win the argument, but you never really win. And then they're going to argue with all the time about everything. So it's not worth it. So this is a huge one. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Business of the 21st Century. I'm just going to start working through the things I think you really should be putting into your mind in the beginning stages of your business, and I'm going to keep going. This is a CD. In fact, you can find this YouTube training for free on YouTube. Go research Jim, go Google Jim Rohn, Building Your Network Marketing Business. You'll pull up, I think it's about an hour-long YouTube audio, but I order these, tons of them. And I order like 100 at a time, and I send them out to people, new people that have joined. This should be in your car. If you're an IBO, this should be in your car, popping on every time you're in your car. Don't listen to news. Don't listen to the radio. You might be like, I really love the radio. I know, but when you're starting to build a business, you need to utilize your time wisely and spend it pouring information into your brain. If you're not a reader, it might be freaking you out. If you're not a reader, get Audible. Audible. It's an app. It's through Amazon. I have Audible, and I am a reader. But Audible allows me to utilize my time when I'm on trips and I can't bring big old books with me, or I'm driving long distances. It allows me to utilize my time with Audible and listen to books. So utilize that. You can download almost any book on Audible. So those are two big ones for the first couple weeks in your business. Beach Money. Wouldn't have made it through my first year without this book. I remember so strongly a top leader in the company coming in doing a training. I was like, wow, I can't believe it's coming to Jacksonville and speaking. This is amazing. And he came and he spoke, and I arranged the whole thing and brought the people. And he asked me, have you read Beach Money? I was like, yes. I remember this so clearly. Yes, I have. He said, how many times have you read it? I said, 6 times. Like, I remember that from my first year that I had answered him. I'd read it 6 times. I don't know that I would have made it through without this book. It's a very realistic view of someone who'd been in 11 network marketing companies, had been laughed at by everyone that he knew. Talk about someone who had no center of influence. It's this guy. I know Jordan Adler personally. I can tell you this story is true, and he's an amazing man. But this book is just real, and so I think every brand new person should read this book. You can also get this on Audible, I believe, but you can get it on Amazon or beachmoney.com. Okay, those are necessary. Those are ones that I send out to people all the time. Todd Falcone spoke at one of our peer events last year in Branson, Missouri. And this is a book that I often give out to new people as well. It's just some of the basics, the Fearless Networker of building your business. So that's the Fearless Networker by Todd Falcone. This is a big one. All right, now I'm going to start getting a little bit deeper to some things that I think are important to be reading. Think and Grow Rich is a great book about the power of what your thoughts, the power of your thoughts. I'm going to give you 3 others that back up this so strongly. Now, this is a powerful one. It's a really old book, but it's very, very powerful. So you want to make sure that you should have this in your library. Commanding Your Morning, basically the exact same thing as this. It's not the exact same thing, but they're using the same information, but she backs it up with scripture, which is really, really big for me. So Commanding Your Morning, oh my gosh, this is an amazing book. Battlefield of the Mind, same thing. If you find yourself going negative all the time, hey, if you have someone on your team that's going negative all the time, and believe me, if you don't have them now, you're going to have them sooner or later, going negative all the time, you are not a counselor. Or maybe you are a counselor, but it is not your job as a counselor to as a therapist elsewhere in life to come into this peer business and be a therapist to everybody that comes in. That's not your job. Get them reading, get them listening. There are so many people that have joined my team over the years that I'm like, oh my gosh, they just need personal development, and I don't have time to do that. I'm not a counselor. So get them books, get them CDs. The battle in your mind, if you find yourself always going negative, always thinking the worst, oh, they're never going to pick up the phone. Oh, I can't tell them. They're going to say no. Always negative. You find yourself opening your mouth and talking to people you've met in the business or your upline about negative all the time. Holy moly. We can only handle that for so long. You got to get your mind straight. And I understand maybe you've been like that your whole life, but you can change. And so get your hands on books like this that will totally change that you can get this on Audible too. This is a sucker you should have. running through your CD all the time. Okay, I'm going to jump into another one of my absolute favorite writers. If you guys don't know who Jensen Franklin is, oh, you got to get him. The Fasting Edge, his book, Right People, Right Place, Right Plan, and Believe That You, this sucker's old, you can tell I've read it a bunch of times, Believe That You Can by Jensen Franklin. These are massive, you got to read them, got to have them. You should always be putting stuff in your mind. There's groups of people in my organization who will text me and say, I'm done with the last one, what's the next one I should read? Done with the last one, what's the next one I should read? I had to pull this one out, the China study. I read this before I found Pure. This is what made me aware of how important plant nutrition is. You read this sucker, you'll become a vegetarian for at least a month. Statistical data on the importance of what we put in our bodies. Again, I read this before Pure, and that's how I knew when I saw what Pure had. I was like, oh my gosh, they're all the check boxes. Everything I've been learning through my research, they're saying and they're preaching and they're teaching. Like, I can do this. I can be with this company. Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. This is one of the things that got me off coffee a while ago. Learning how to slowly knock myself down, because I was one of those people who's like, I know it's acidic and I know I should stop it, but I can't. I love it. And I used to go to Starbucks every day. But this book talks about being able to slowly make little tiny changes, and how that can affect your life big time in the future. Fabulous. This is on Audible as well. Fabulous book. Okay. I know I'm talking fast. You're probably like scribbling away, but don't worry, it's going to be recorded and I'm going to post it. Okay. Little Things Matter. This book is great. I've heard this man speak. I've met him personally. Let me tell you, this book is about being a better person, having eye contact when you speak to someone, smiling when you walk in a room, do what you say you're going to do. A firm handshake, how to have a firm handshake, all kinds of little things. The Impact of a Smile is the title of chapter 14. They're little 1 or 2 page things. Engaging eye contact. Make the most of meeting and greeting people. Little things that, hey, maybe your parents didn't teach you these things. Using and remembering people's names. This is a fabulous book. Oh, look, Todd even signed it for me when I got it back in 2011. This is a great book. And sometimes I'll give it away as Christmas gifts, because I just believe that these are the kinds of life things that just make you a better person and make you kind of leave a stamp in people's minds after they meet you, versus never remembering who you are. Okay, so that's that one. I have so many John Maxwell books. It's not even funny. In fact, I could have just, every single one that I just talked about could be John Maxwell. I could talk about him forever. I love these little tiny books. I've picked them up at airports for years. Little tiny books. How Successful People Think. Relationships 101. This is a relationship business. You know what? You guys have heard me talk about how I'm an introvert and I'm a green personality. The relationship part is hard for me. It's hard. It's not a natural, like there's some people on my team, they are like these big, warm, fuzzy teddy bears, and everywhere they go, they just want to love everybody, always willing to give somebody a hug and happy and smiley, and you just want to be around her. Those are great relationship people, great at building relationships. It's something I have to work on. And so I'm always reading books and learning and trying to get better at it. There's the book, I couldn't find it when I was getting ready to talk, How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's a great relationship building book. That's a book everybody should read. But these are little fast reads. Leadership 101, Teamwork 101 is one of them. So John Maxwell, there's big, thick books he has as well. And I listen to a lot of his things as well. I'm going to jump into Randy Gage. A lot of what I learned my first 3 years in the business was from Randy Gage. I listened to his podcasts. I listened to his audios. This guy has built a massive, and I'm going to tell you what he's built, a duplication machine. This is the master, in my opinion, of duplication, of duplicating something that grows when you're sleeping, when you're on vacation. I remember him telling me a story one time about hitting the highest rank in his company while he had food poisoning. He was at a resort somewhere and had food poisoning, was in the bathroom all night long, throwing up, and he hit the highest rank in his company. You know, most people, you guys, when they hit the highest ranks in their companies, they are grinding. Phone call, phone call, phone call. How many people can I get on the phone with tonight? How many meetings did I do today? Blah, 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 blah. Crazy, and it's craziness. They don't eat, they don't sleep, they haven't exercised in 3 weeks. It's just crazy all the time. They're on the phone, 5 phone calls are coming in. It's craziness. When I heard this guy speak, I knew that I don't want to be crazy like that. My husband and I are about to hit 20 years of marriage. I don't know that we would have if I hadn't learned the techniques this guy teaches about the importance of balance and not even really balance. He doesn't teach on that, but duplication, the importance of duplication. I want for you a business that duplicates when you sleep, a balanced life so that you can spend time with your husband and your kids. And so your family doesn't hate the business because they never get to spend time with you. Because as you begin to really build a big business, everyone wants to spend time with you. And you only have so much time. How to build a multi-level money machine is one of them. I think I have how to making the first circle work is another one of his. Great trainings from him. There was something else. Oh, this book I got because Randy recommended it. The Richest Man in Babylon. This is great stuff. This is about how to handle your money, because as you begin to start making money in Pure, it's very tempting to just start spending it. It's very tempting to quit your job and just start spending money and living out of your business. And this is very like age-old advice on how to handle your money. Of course, I have Tony Robbins' Money Mastery book and Dave Ramsey's book. I have all these money books. But this is just basic, easy reading knowledge on handling your money. I highly recommend it. Highly recommend this book. And then the last one I'm going to talk about right here, I feel like there's something I'm missing, but this is for someone who's been building for a little while, okay? Maybe you've been in 3 to 6 months, but it's a must read. You have to get it. I don't want you to read it your first month, maybe not even your second month, but you have to get it. Get Over Your Damn Self by Romy Neustadt. My boys are mortified that I was reading this book a couple of months ago. Mom, how can you read a book that has a cuss word in it? And they brought it up yesterday on the way home from school. But this book is brilliant. I will be giving this to all of my leaders at leadership retreats going forward because it is a must read. Most of my leaders have probably read this book by the time they get to our leadership retreats, but this is a must read. And then I also just read one on the cruise I was on, Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. The deep read, thick read, but I'm just kind of giving you an example of the things I'm constantly filling my mind with. You guys, I could never buy another book and just read all of these over and over and over again. The putting information in is so important. Don't let what I just said overwhelm you if you're not a reader. There are people on my team that are like, Rachel, I don't have time for that. Well, maybe you need to make time. You need to make time. People go to law school, they go to medical school, they spend all their time. I went to PA school. I wasn't even allowed to have a job in PA school which was crazy to me because I had worked 3 jobs since I was 15. So to not have a job, it was really weird. I had to ask my husband for money. I didn't like it, but I wasn't allowed to have a job. And so all we did was study. So when you go to school and you're going, for a career, all you're doing is studying and putting information in your mind so that you can do what? Go get a job and spend the rest of your life trading your hours for dollars to make somebody else money. Hopefully you're doing something that you love, okay? Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. You can't get into this business and think, number one, that you're going to know how to do it right away, okay? Nobody knows how to do this right away. It takes practice. Just like maybe you're a physical therapist. Maybe you're a kindergarten teacher, God bless you. Maybe you were probably horrible the first day. You probably had a raging headache the first day you came home. It takes a couple of months to even know where to put your lunchbox when you get into work and to know where the bathrooms are and to know everything. It takes a couple of months. You can't jump into this and do it a half an hour, 2 hours a day and think after the first week, well, gosh, I'm never going to get this. You will. You just have to be consistent, take proper action daily, make sure you're doing money-making activity. I already told you what those are. And make sure you're filling your mind with the right information. If you have to choose between getting on a team call or reading a book, get on the team call. Team calls are number one most important. But you should always have a book. If you need to read, going to read a chapter every night before bed. It's the last thing you put in your head is positive, mind uplifting things. Okay, if you've got it in your car and you're listening when you're in the car, start making the choices to turn the TV off at night. You might have to give up some things that you love so that you can get ahead in life and start to build that savings account, start to get the time freedom that you want. So hope it wasn't too overwhelming for you. I get excited about books, can't tell. And if you don't get excited about books, it's an important part of what we do, and you can get them all and listen to them rather than read them if you're not a big reader.